Hey mobility gurus, I hope you guys are having an amazing day. In today's video, I want to discuss 5 things that IT can do when managing Windows 10 devices inside an MDM or a UEM, a Unified Endpoint Management System. We've seen a big transition from Microsoft in regards to Windows 10. What Microsoft has done over the past few years is they've taken a lot of core management components, things that we would traditionally do through, say, a GPO, a group policy object, through systems like SCCM, and created APIs to allow an MDM or a UEM to be able to manage those remotely. The greatest benefit when managing Windows 10 devices through a UEM or an MDM is it allows IT to be able to manage those and configure those and secure those no matter what connection or internet we're on. For a long time, IT was limited in many capacities with tools like SCCM where they needed to be on the local network or through a VPN to allow SCCM to push out new configuration security updates for those devices. And many times, especially remote users, they weren't on VPN all the time or weren't on VPN long enough to be able to pull all those updates and configuration. So now with MDM and Windows 10, that Windows device is more like an iOS or Android device where I don't care what internet you're on, as long as you're touching the internet, I can push out those security updates, those updates to our applications, Windows updates, ensuring the device is compliant with security standards, and a lot of other things. There's a lot of stuff that we can do with Windows 10 within an MDM, but I'm just gonna show you 5 things that I see a lot of organizations really looking at when they first start to get into Windows 10 management. For this demo, I'm using VMware's Workspace ONE. There's a lot of MDMs out there that manage Windows 10 devices, including Microsoft's own Endpoint Manager, also commonly known as Intune, MobileIron, MOS 360, Meraki System Manager, and the list goes on here. But for the sake of this video, I'm gonna be inside Workspace ONE. Right now, I'm building a profile, and for MDM admins, this may look very familiar. If you're managing iOS or Android devices, it's really the same UI, and you're going to see that across a lot of different MDMs, and everything that I'll talk about here, all the concepts here really can be applied to a lot of other MDMs out there. So let's hop into the first one, Windows updates. Being able to manage Windows updates directly through an MDM is a big game changer. Reason why is it allows us to be able to push updates directly through Microsoft's update service, or we can still pull if devices are on the local network, we can use a WinSUS server. So that's really key there. What I've seen a lot of times is we've got remote workers that will benefit from Microsoft's update service so we don't have to pull from the local network, and then we've got local desktops plugged into Ethernet that would benefit from a WinSUS server. So we've got a lot of different options as far as how we configure different machines as well as different user groups based on location. As we get into Windows updates, there's a lot we can do here. So picking which update source we want, as well as being able to pause updates, as well as configure some of the behavior there. Everyone hates getting an update at 2 p.m. in the afternoon and having the device restart. It just ruins that whole productivity. So there's a lot of choices as far as how we configure updates here. And then a really key aspect of Windows updates through the MDM is we can auto approve updates as well. So if I select enable here and then I hit allowed, I can automatically approve critical updates or definition updates, but I don't really care about feature updates or anything like that. I just want to make sure that my machines have the most critical updates and definitions out there. So I can auto approve those to automatically hit the machines, which brings a lot of great automations to IT admins so they don't have to go hunt and see what devices don't have a definition update and try to figure out how to push that update to those devices. This is just setting up all those automations for those users. So number 2, encryption, and I'm really talking about BitLocker, Windows native tool for encryption. So right off the bat, I can choose what type of encryption method I want. How strong do I want that encryption? All the way up to 256-bit. But more importantly, I can do things like forcing the encryption on that, as well as some key settings like requiring a PIN at startup, putting that 4 or 6-digit PIN in there, as well as creating a static BitLocker recovery key. Every MDM handles this a little bit differently. Some toss it into Azure. Within Workspace ONE, you can escrow that key directly in Workspace ONE and then make that available in a self-service portal so those end users can get that BitLock recovery key if ever they lock themselves out of their devices. So a lot of cool things that you can do around BitLocker, but more importantly, we can natively manage the encryption on those devices, ensuring they're compliant through an MDM, which comes to the benefit of, as long as they're touching the internet, I'm going to be ensuring that the device is compliant as far as encryption is concerned. Number 3, data protections. So similar to iOS and Android, where we can have DLP settings around an application. So if we push out Outlook to our iOS or Android devices, we can put certain settings around there to ensure that data, copy and paste and stuff like that can't get out of Outlook and get tossed into another text editor or thrown into Google Drive or something like that. We can apply the same DLP type protections to applications that we provision to those devices as well. So say if I want to ensure that Outlook is completely managed on my devices, I can add an application here, and then there's a lot of awesome tools here as far as protecting our data. You kind of see down here at the enrollment policies, you've got a lot of different options as far as how we encrypt the data and what that data can interact with on that managed device. Number 4, personalization. I think this is the most fun one here, because when we're giving an end user a laptop, we want to make it look like it's a corporate laptop. And a lot of that is around putting a desktop image on there, putting a lock screen image on there, and adjusting things like the start layout, going from something like this to something like this. Personalization is just a fun one that just gives us additional capabilities, kind of give that nice little wow factor on top of the devices. And number 5, application distribution. It's great that we can manage all these configuration security polys on the devices, but users need applications. They can't be productive, they can't do their job without applications like Microsoft Office and stuff like that. So the UEM or MDM is a great tool for that. We can add any x86, MSI, EXE application that we want, and we've got full configuration around that. So it's as simple as hitting the add button and hitting application file. And then we can go through the process of uploading that .exe, MSI, or x86 app, and then wrapping all the configuration that we run around that. But one thing that I'll give props to VMware here is they've created an enterprise app repository or catalog here. And what this is we all know it's a pain in the butt to not only get applications to users, but get them configured and really working properly. But what VMware saw is, hey, this is common around pretty much everyone trying to manage Windows 10 devices, and more importantly, getting applications out. So what this is it's a repository built for admins, and it's really there to serve as a one-stop shop to hundreds of different applications that are already prepackaged, pre-configured, and just ready for use and deployment directly through Workspace ONE. So eliminating some of the time needed for an admin to configure that app and ensure that it's 100% ready for production when it hits that end users. I think that's a really cool thing that VMware saw in the industry, and is trying to proactively try to make things easier for IT admins as we migrate to this modern way of managing Windows 10. So I hope that was helpful. And you guys probably saw in the demo, there's a lot of other components that I didn't even touch on that we can manage directly through the MDM. Things like GPO management, antivirus, and a lot of other things. But those 5 things I just covered are core components that I see a lot of organizations, at least when they're starting to get into Windows 10 management, they're looking at a phased approach, like what components should I manage and what components should I bring into phase 2 management approach. Those are the 5 things that I see most often on. But thanks for watching, and hope you guys have an amazing day.